EPUSBook Power G11A24. The HP ZBook Power G11A looks fancy for music producers on the move, pumping out marathon battery life and beefy workstation muscle to handle your epic sound stacks with zero stutter. Then it opens its mouth to sing. And those stereo speakers are so weak and thin, even your phone's speakers would stage a protest. Bass is missing in action, and music sounds more like cold soup than a hot hit. Sure, you could work in silence and wear headphones forever, but if you want your laptop to actually sound like a music machine, look elsewhere. 5 out of 10. Gigabyte G6. Meet the Gigabyte G6, a scrappy little guy with plenty of raw CPU power and shockingly speedy SSD storage that might just keep up with your creative outbursts for a decent price. Sadly, its speakers are about as convincing as a karaoke night at the local laundromat. Flat, quiet, and completely allergic to bass, so playing your track out loud will thrill nobody but the neighbor's cat. You will need decent headphones to hear anything remotely resembling music production, or risk embracing silence. 4 out of 10. Acer Predator Triton Neo 16s. The Acer Predator Triton Neo 16 wants to be your music production sidekick, with strong performance for heavy projects and a gorgeous display that makes your DAW look amazing. But then those bottom-mounted speakers try to party and deliver sound only a mother could love. Tinny, almost bassless, and struggling against fan noise if you are mixing at midnight. Audio is perfectly fine for casual use, but for serious tracks, grab headphones or real monitors before your beats lose their fury. 7 out of 10. Dell G16. You want power for your plugins, and the Dell G16 practically flexes its muscles like a gym bro who's memorized every DAW shortcut. It glides through recording sessions without flinching, and the fans rarely scream. Just don't overdo it with those heavy CPU plugins unless you like a little background white noise. It handled everything I threw at it, but some say you may find more finesse in pricier rigs. Still, for the money, it's a legit workhorse that won't ghost your workflow. 7 out of 10. LG Gram 1624. This laptop is so light, you could toss it to your producer and not ruin their day. But those underwhelming speakers and squishy build are like bringing foam sticks to a drum battle. The battery lasts longer than your mixing ambitions, and the screen is big and bright enough for serious multitasking. But if you crave punchy sound and ironclad build, you might want to keep looking. 6 out of 10. Dell Pro Max 16 2025. If you crave raw power, this laptop brings industrial-strength performance like a bulldozer in a synth factory. Serious speed for heavy tracks, bazillions of plugins, and yes, enough modular port action to out-cable your studio. It's as serious and sturdy as they come, but don't expect miracles from battery life if you're editing bangers all night, and the price tag might trigger phantom fader syndrome. 8 out of 10. Lenovo ThinkPad E16 Gen 2. The ThinkPad E16 Gen 2 tries to charm you with Harman-tuned speakers and marathon durability that screams, business in the front, party never in the back. Sure, the audio clarity is nice for Zoom calls, but when it comes to music production, these speakers drop the bass harder than my grandma drops off leftovers. Which is to say, there's simply no bass. If you want pro studio vibes, plug in headphones and prepare to ignore those weak lows. This is a solid office hero, not a music studio maestro. 5 out of 10. ASUS VivoBook 16 Flip TP3607. The VivoBook 16 Flip twists and shouts with its cool convertible design, and it can run big DAWs like FL Studio fast enough to outpace your indecision on what beat to make next. But as soon as you crank the volume for mixing, those bottom-firing speakers get confused quicker than a lost tourist in a subway. Okay for casual bops, but they mush together complex tracks unless you keep it gentle. Let this one flip into tent mode. Grab your best headphones and you will jam. But without that upgrade, your drops will sound as flat as a pancake. 6 out of 10. Razer Blade 16. The Razer Blade 16 charges into your studio with more power and thinness than a vampire on a juice cleanse, boasting a super fast display and customizable audio that actually caters to producers with EQ presets for music modes. Push it into performance mode and the fans roar louder than an EDM festival. So if you like making music that'll rattle the neighbors, this thing will make sure you do. Just warn them first. It is eye-wateringly pricey and a bit heavy on the fan noise, but the actual production chops are top tier. So if your wallet is fat and your mix is loud, this is the king of the studio laptops. 9 out of 10. MSI Vector 16 HX AI. This powerhouse brings brute force, packing enough muscle to let your music plugins run wild. But with all those fans whirring, it sounds like you invited a jet engine to your studio session. The display's sharp, colors pop, and the AI features are pretty neat, but the battery drops faster than your Wi-Fi at a festival gig. I'd call it a portable desktop, not a laptop you forget in your backpack. And despite the plastic build, its sound quality is actually sweet for mixing. 7 out of 10. ASUS ROG Strix Scar 16 G35. The Strix Scar 16 is basically the Lamborghini of laptops, slicing through your audio projects at full speed. until you notice it costs as much as some home studios and looks like it might take off with all those RGB lights. Music production? Not a problem, even stacked with absurd plug-in chains. But most of its horsepower is just flexing when you only need a good beat. If you game and compose tracks, you'll love it. But pure producers might find this beast pure overkill. 6 out of 10. Gigabyte Aorus 16X. If you want decent performance at a reasonable price, the Aorus 16X is your jam. Until those fans start hissing like a blocked saxophone and the software decides to throw a tantrum. The sound system is above average if you like your bass a little shy, but you'll need headphones for serious mixing, and at least the battery outlasts a songwriter's attention span. Upgradability is a nice touch, but it's more mid-range mediocrity than flagship firepower for studio work. 5 out of 10. MSI Sword 16HX. Looking for a laptop that shreds more than guitars? The MSI Sword 16HX packs serious muscle with its beefy Intel processor and mighty graphics, but its sound system is about as show-stopping as an air horn at a classical concert. The color-rich screen is nice for editing those wobbly waveforms, though the weight means you will get a bicep workout with every gig. Rock on if you can carry it. If your studio goals include gaming breaks and tolerating fan noise, this is a solid option. But pro producers will crave more finesse. 6 out of 10. Apple Macbook Air M4. Apple's MacBook Air M4 walks in with the style of a minimalist DJ and the brains to pull off big mixes. Finally, you can upgrade to 32 gigabytes of RAM and run orchestral projects without feeling like you are mixing underwater. The speedy chip delivers nippy plug-in action, perfect for Logic Pro users, and dual display support means double the workspace for those with more tracks than friends. Still, unless you max out the RAM, this is a slick sidekick, not a brute main act. Sample hoarders, order with extra memory or risk crashing your masterpiece. 8 out of 10. HP Victus 16. The HP Victus 16 acts like a budget music producer, does almost enough and asks for very little in return, but tell it to handle complex mixdowns and you might hear static, literally, because the speakers are as bassy as a kazoo at a techno rave. Battery life is long enough for jam sessions that spiral into existential crises, but the build is basic, and you will be making peace with some noisy fans under load. If your music career is somewhere between dorm room beats and coffee shop gigs, this will do, but pros should keep on scrolling. 5 out of 10. Lenovo Legion Pro 5 Gen 10. Crank up the tempo because this chunky beast shreds through plugins and projects. But if you write anything longer than a radio single, watch out, because overheating and CPU throttling might turn your symphony into a stutter parade. Sure, it's got loads of ports and power to make music producers drool, but the fans love to throw their own concert whenever you push the Legion hard, and you are stuck with some pretty meh speakers for previewing your mix. Bottom line, bring a cool breeze and an extra warranty, or risk turning your creative flow into an involuntary remix. 6 out of 10. MSI Prestige 16 AI Evo. If you love battery life nearly as much as bass drops, the Prestige 16 just might keep your set going longer than the crowd, but do not expect studio quality with these bottom-firing speakers, and playback can sound about as natural as your neighbor's karaoke session. The sleek chassis and Arrow Lake chip mean fast performance for DIWs, but it is definitely not topping charts in pure power, and high temperatures might have you fishing for oven mitts when things get heated. Creative, portable, yet far from a chart topper for real studio work. 5 out of 10. Dell Precision 5690. From quad speakers that actually sound impressive to a vivid 4K display, this workstation brings out details in your mix like a producer with OCD. Every instrument stands out, no matter how many overlapping tracks you throw at it. Beneath its premium suit, you get enough grunt for demanding plugins and virtual instruments, though pushing it hard ignites the fans, and storage upgrades are more locked and loaded than plug and play. It might not run with the absolute fastest, but for music pros who want reliable power and clear audio, this precision does not miss a beat. 8 out of 10. HP Omen Max 16. If you want a laptop that doubles as a gym workout every time you lift it, the HP Omen Max 16 is your guy. It's so heavy you might just build biceps lugging it around. The OLED display makes your mixes look absolutely gorgeous, and the audio is rich and layered, capturing every cymbal splash, though don't count on it filling a stadium because its volume tops out at medium-sized room. With short battery life and a mushy keyboard, you might find yourself skipping ARM day just to recharge both your patience and the laptop. 6 out of 10. Gigabyte Aorus Master 16. The Gigabyte Aorus Master 16 is a performance powerhouse with speakers that let you hear those juicy mids and highs, but if bass is your jam, your tracks may feel a little flat. This thing was clearly born to game, not groove. The quad speaker system is loud enough to annoy your neighbors, and the full range sound is impressively clear, though those fans kick up a racket louder than most rock bands. If you are mixing beats at home, you will dig the immersive sound. But take it to a studio, and the fan noise might just be your biggest critic. 7 out of 10. Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 7. The Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 7 is the sort of laptop that quietly slides into the studio, gets the job done, and sticks around for an encore. The dual Dolby Atmos speakers are surprisingly bold, with crisp, clear tracks and enough volume to drown out noisy roommates. Mix and produce all day thanks to marathon battery life and a lightweight design that keeps your back happy, plus CPU and GPU power that won't bail when you load up 20 plugins for your magnum opus. If you plan to record an orchestra, you might want external speakers, but for the rest of us, this laptop nails the gig. 9 out of 10. ASUS ROG Zephyrus G16 2024 G605. This beast of a laptop is technically a gaming monster, but it moonlights as a music studio superstar with its oversized RAM and a CPU that sprints like your cat spotting a cucumber. Plug in your audio gear and run your wildest plug-in chains without breaking a sweat. Plus, its sleek, totally not a gaming laptop look won't make you feel like you're DJing at a Comic-Con. If you want your laptop to keep up with your creative explosions and maybe your ego, this one goes hard. Just don't try balancing it on your knees at a festival. 8 out of 10. Apple Macbook Pro M4. Move over, mere mortals, because the MacBook Pro M4 is here to make your synthesizer weep with joy and your CPU meter retire, handling more tracks and plugins than you probably have original song ideas. Whether you're an Ableton wizard or a Logic Pro loyalist, low latency recording and dual display support mean your workflow will be smoother than auto-tuned vocals. Just beware. Only serious producers need apply. It's a near-perfect laptop unless you're hoping it magically writes your next Grammy-winning hit, and at this price you might expect it to. 9 out of 10. Microsoft Surface Studio 2. The Surface Studio 2 wants you to believe it's an artist's dream thanks to its huge, glorious touchscreen. But for music production, it's more like a well-dressed backup singer struggling to keep up with plug-in heavy tracks and intensive sessions. It offers respectable specs and pen support for sketching your album cover, but you'll likely hit performance speed bumps before the final chorus if your session gets too wild. If you produce music occasionally and prefer visual flair over audio muscle, then sure. Otherwise, keep shopping. 5 out of 10. ASUS ROG Strix G16. If you want a laptop that handles heavy music sessions without breaking a sweat, the Strix G16's power and cooling keep your DAWs chugging like a freight train, but you will need actual muscles to lug this behemoth around. It runs cool and quiet enough for recording. Its screen is lush, and you get enough ports to connect every odd bit of studio gear. Just do not expect epic battery life or want to travel light. For producing hit tracks in one place with more RGB than common sense, this rig gets you grooving until you have to move it. 8 out of 10. Acer Predator Helios 16 AI. This beast throws down with an Ultra 9 processor and graphics fireworks, making multitasking and big sessions smoother than a buttery jazz solo. But it looks like you are prepping for a LAN party, not laying down a sick beat. The speakers are about as bland as decaf coffee, so you will definitely want good headphones if you care about your mixes, and those loud fans might try to sing along with your warms-up. Killer performance, but too gamery and let down by audio. Great for playing, not so hot for producing. 6 out of 10. Lenovo Legion Pro 7i Gen 10. With raw power to spare and a gorgeous, color-popping OLED screen, the Legion Pro 7i chews through audio projects faster than your playlist changes, while staying surprisingly nimble for such a spec monster. The speakers are finally decent, the keyboard is a pleasure, and it stays cool even when your track list hits triple digits. But beware, background system quirks and potential DPC latency issues can throw curveballs that ruin the vibe. If you get lucky with your unit, this is a music production powerhouse. If not, get ready to chase down tech support. 7 out of 10. Asus ProArt P16 H7606. Ready to unleash your inner Mozart and Spielberg at the same time? This beast packs up to 64 gigabytes of memory, 4 terabytes of storage, and an absolutely glorious 16-inch OLED display that makes your DAW look like a Hollywood blockbuster. It is built for those who need power and versatility, not just to crank out massive mixes, but to handle video editing, graphic design, and whatever creative chaos you throw at it. Just be ready for a price that might make you hit the high notes in your budget opera. If you are the type who thinks multitasking means composing, editing, and doom-scrolling all at once, here is your dream machine, as long as you are cool with coughing up nearly $2,000. 8 out of 10.